We'll get into the topics of the family feud in just a second. But first we're going to sing this song, Jairada Madhava, that will be up in the board someday. Does somebody have the computer? I'll wait for Drista Dumna to get it on the board so we can all follow along. I hope everybody's doing well this morning. May your day be full of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so this song we're about to sing is a window into the spiritual world. And I grew up playing sports when I was a kid. And so when we were playing sports, we'd sing the national anthem. And it got the whole entire stadium and the football team or the baseball team in a mood, right? You got ready for sporting action. You know, we're very patriotic, right? America, and now we're going to play sports, right? Well, transcendentally, we're about to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And so we're going to sing a song that's a window into the spiritual world in hopes that we can start to imbibe that spiritual consciousness to really hear Srimad Bhagavatam in such a wonderful way. So if you like, you can sing along. If you like, you can just read the English translations. And if you like, you can just close your eyes and listen. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gadam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Kalashanji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Pramanade. I was thinking for a moment there about how nice it is to be in part of this community. And in this community, we have this little community of people who are coming regularly and listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. And I was thinking, I was missing Tulsi. She's been here so frequently and stuff. And so I was thinking we can all, say a prayer to Tulsi and Jai Guranga, who are flying to India right now, that all their travels are safe. And if they are listening online, hi Jai Guranga, hi Tulsi, Hare Krishna. So today, so we heard from Drista yesterday some more details, or some larger details about this story that we're going to hear, that we're reading in Srimad Bhagavatam. And we have three main characters, right? Daksha, Shiva, and Satya, right? Sati. And so, who is Daksha in relationship to Lord Shiva? Does anybody remember? Father-in-law, right? So Daksha is the father-in-law, and Lord Shiva is the son-in-law. Okay, Daksha and Sati are in what relationship? Father and daughter, right? And then it's pretty. Lord Shiva and Sati are husband and wife, right? Our son. Yeah. Right? So we got these three main characters. And there's a big family feud going right on. Father and son-in-law are quarreling. But son-in-law is situated in a transcendental position. So he's not so interested in quarreling. But Daksha, the father-in-law, because of Lord Shiva's transcendental position, he's envious. And so we heard about the entering of the ceremony, or to the family reunion. So there's this big family reunion going on, right? And Daksha comes in and he's offended by Lord Shiva's actions. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to read a certain part of this story. And it's the part where Lord Shiva is talking to his wife, and his wife has heard that there's a family reunion going on, and she hasn't been invited. Not only has she not been invited, she sees her sisters driving their cars along the street, and she says, hey sister, where are you going? Oh, we're going to the family reunion. What? A family reunion? Nobody told me, So of course this family reunion is a sacrificial ceremony, right? And the sisters of Sati are flying transcendental vehicles to the party, and she's seeing them going. Okay, let's turn to text 15, and we'll read 15 through 25, and then we'll focus on 17. And the topic for today, the focus topic, is sometimes material opulences can be a curse. Oh, no. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And we read the next two, English and our Sanskrit and English together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chavadrotam. Conquest 1 should offer the respectful obeisances of Godhead, Narayan, 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 Rishi, the supermost human, unto the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayasha breshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamas he bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as a irrevocable fact. Doesn't this sound wonderful? All the troublesome things in our heart are destroyed, are almost completely destroyed. Wow. Okay. Om Gyantimurandasya Gananjana Salakaya Shakshuranmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes, the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Okay, now we can turn to 15. I appreciate that, Drissa, because I would have I would have lamented, I missed the invocation verses. 15, who has the mic? Nikhil Prabhu, would you please?
Text 15, the great sage.
Uh-oh, technical difficulties, one moment.
Text 15, the great sage Maitreya said, Lord Siva, the deliverer of the hill Kailasa, having thus been addressed by his dear wife, replied smilingly, although at the same time he remembered the malicious, heart-piercing speeches delivered by Daksha before the guardians of the universal affairs.
So Lord Shiva remembers what Daksha said in his heart. He's remembering this in his mind. But outwardly, to not disturb his wife, he smiles.
The great Lord replied, My dear beautiful wife, you have said that one may go to a friend's house without being invited. And this is true, provided such a friend does not find fault with the guest because of bodily identification and thereby become angry towards him.
So Shiva could see that if Sati was going to go, that there'd be trouble. She wasn't invited, he wasn't invited, and he was trying to give her a warning that, hey, we're not invited. If you go, there's going to be trouble. Maybe you've seen this situation before where you have a friend that really wants to do something and you're like, don't do that, don't do that. You know, a classic American story, I guess you could say, is there's a rival school, right? We're in high school. Everybody's in high school. And we have a rival school. And our friend, he's attracted to a lady in the rival school, right? Yeah. And he goes, I really want to go to the party that they're having because she's there and oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. And you're like, dude, if we go, it's going to be trouble. That's our rival school. We can't go there. And he says, I don't care. I'm so focused on this thing. I don't care of anything that happened. And so you, of course, backing your friend up, you go to the school and then the fight breaks out, right? You know, the rival school sees the other rival school there and the fight breaks out. So point being is that it's even a classic story in a sense that, you know, somebody sees, hey, don't go do that, and they warn them, but the person's so focused on it, they are going to go do it. So here's Sati. Okay. 17, please.
Text 17. Although the 6 qualities, education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage, or for the highly elevated, one who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good senses and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities.
Okay, this is going to be our focus verse, so we'll come back to it. Please, 18.
One should not go to anyone's house, even on the consideration of his being a relative or a friend, when the man is disturbed in his mind and looks upon the guest with raised eyebrows and angry eyes.
So you can't trust somebody who's envious. And Lord Shiva's trying to give this indication to Sati. It was already a bad omen or a bad, an indication of Daksha's mind that they weren't invited. So Lord Shiva's continuing to say, please do not go. Okay, 19, please.
Lord Shiva continued, if one is hurt by the arrows of an enemy, one is not as aggrieved as when cut by the unkind words of a relative, for such grief to rend one's heart day and night.
So Lord Shiva, knowing his wife very well, he knew that if she was to go, and then she would be offended by her father, and they would say harsh things to her, that she would be destroyed. There's one thing when an enemy is saying unkind things or throwing arrows, but when your family's doing it, and Lord Shiva knew this wasn't good. Okay, 20, please.
My dear white-complexioned wife, it is clear that of the many daughters of Daksha, you are the pet. Yet, you will not be honored at this house because of your being my wife. Rather, you will be sorry that you are connected with me.
So a pet in the culture of this story is meant to stay outside, right? But the family still considers it owned by the family, right? So Shiva, in a kind of a direct but indirect way, says, you're like a pet. They still claim you, but you're not allowed inside. That's not a good, that's not too good for you. Okay, 21.
Text 21. One who is conducted by false ego and thus always distressed, both mentally and sensually, cannot tolerate the opulence of self-realized persons. Being unable to rise to the standard of self-realization, he envies such persons as much as demons envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So the self-realized person is very attractive. Of course they're very attractive because they're connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So envious people don't like this so much. Sometimes they can't even put their finger on it. They say, this person, doesn't have any money, they don't have any fame or this or that, but I still don't like them. And a person without these things might be situated in their Krishna consciousness, so they're very attractive still, but people can't put on their hands on it. In this case, Lord Shiva is very attractive, of course, but just pointing out that the envious person was always looking to pull down the person on a transcendental platform. Okay, 22 and 23.
My dear young wife, certainly friends and relatives offer mutual greetings by standing up, welcoming one another and offering obeisances. But those who are elevated to the transcendental platform, being intelligent, offer such respects to the super soul who is sitting within the body, not to the person who identifies with the body.
23, please. Govinda, Ken. Govind?
I am always engaged in the offering of essences to Lord Vasudeva in the pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is relevanted without any covering.
So this was mentioned by Drissa yesterday, that when the devotee is paying obeisances to others, he's paying obeisances to Krishna within the heart of that person. And so Lord Shiva is always paying obeisances to Krishna because he sees Krishna everywhere. He's completely transcendentally situated. Okay, 24, please. How are we doing? Are we seeing the story unfold?
Therefore, you should not see your father, although he is the giver of your body, because he and his followers are envious of me. Because of his envy, O most worshipful one, he has insulted me with cruel words, although I am innocent.
So until now, our Lord Shiva has been indirect in trying to convince Sati not to go. But now he goes direct. And this is the compassion of Lord Shiva, that first he's seeing if he can talk her out of it in a subtle way, you know. Maybe she'll understand some of these subtle things. And then he goes, he's so compassionate and doesn't want to see his wife hurt. He goes direct. Okay, now we got to be like, don't go. Don't do it. Okay, 25.
If in spite of this instruction you decide to go, neglecting my words, the future will not be good for you. You are most respectable, and when you are insulted by your relatives, this insult will immediately be equal to death.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, 17, please.
Text 17.
We'll read, actually go in here, this and do the Sanskrit, please. Mm-hmm. Vidya tapo vitapa purvaya kalaya satam guna sadbir asatamatreya. Oops. Smritu hatyam bratamana durdrasya stabdhyana pasyanti hidama bhushanam vidya tapo vitava purvaya kalayi satyam guna sadbir astatma maitraye. Smrito hatyam britamana durdrasya stabdya napasyantihi dhamma bhuyahasvam. Those first two lines are a little tough for me. Somebody please speak more clearly. Vidya tapo vityava purvaya kalai satyam guna sadbirastamatare smrito hatam britamanoturisya sabhyana pashanti dhamma bhusyam. Napo vityava purvaya kalaya satyam gunaya sadvir astam matreyai smrito hatyam britamana durdrasya stadvadam prantihi dhamma bhusisam. One more, please. Zakapo vityava purvaya kalaya satyam guna sadvir astam smato hatayam britmana duraisyam stabdana pasanti dhamma bhushisam. Translation together, please. Vidya, education. Tapa, austerities. Vitya, wealth. Vapu, beauty of the body, etc. Vayaha, youth. Kalaya, the heritage. Satam, of pious. Gunahi, social qualities. Sabe, 6. Astama itarahi, having the opposite result of those who are not great souls. Smrito, good senses. Hatyam, being lost. Brita mana durdasya, blind due to pride. Stabdyaha, proud. Na, not. Pasyanti, see. He, for. Dhamma, the glories. Bhuyasam, the great souls. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Although the 6 qualities, education, austerities, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage, are for the highly elevated, one who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities. Please repeat. Although the 6 qualities, education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage, are for the highly elevated, one who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities. Purport. It may be argued that since Daksha was very learned, wealthy, and austere, and had descended from a very exalted heritage, how could he be unnecessarily angered towards another? The answer is that when the qualities of good education, good parentage, beauty, and sufficient wealth are misplaced in persons who is puffed up all these possessions, they produce a very bad result. Milk is a very nice food, but when milk is touched by an envious serpent, it becomes poisonous. Similarly, material assets such as education, wealth, beauty, and good parentage are undoubtedly nice, but when they decorate persons of malicious nature, they act adversely. Another example given by Shanaka Pandit is that the serpent that has a jewel on his head is still fearful because it is a serpent. A serpent by nature is envious of other living entities, even though they be faultless. When a serpent bites another creature, it is not necessarily because the other creature is at fault. It is the habit of the serpent to bite innocent creatures. Similarly, although Daksha was qualified by material assets, because he was proud of his possessions and because he was envious, all those qualities were polluted. It is there sometimes detrimental for a person advancing in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness to possess such material assets. Kunti Devi, while offering prayers to Krishna, addresses him as an akinchana gochara, one who is easily approached by those who are bereft of material acquisitions. Material exhaustion is an advantage for the advancement in Krishna consciousness. Although if one is conscious of his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can utilize one's material assets, such as great learning and beauty and exalted ancestry, for the service of the Lord. Then such assets become glorious. In other words, unless one is Krishna consciousness, all his material possessions are zero. But when this zero is by the side of the Supreme One, it at once increases the value to 10. Unless situated by the side of the Supreme One, zero is always zero. One may add 100 zeros, but the value will still remain zero. Unless one's material assets are used in Krishna consciousness, they may play havoc and degrade the possessor. Ooh. Okay, let's see here. So interesting enough, we at Krishna House, we read Bhagavad Gita each evening, and we're in the modes of material nature, the 3 modes of material nature. So I thought this was very interesting that we're speaking about Daksha, who has all these great wealths, these great possessions, and he's showing his enviness. So what modes of nature can we perceive in Daksha? Any suggestions, thoughts? Passion. Why passion? Melissa, why passion? Does anybody have you have the mic. Go ahead, go look Nanda Prabhu.
I guess because he's one of the progenitors, and without being passionate, you cannot beget.
What else is there another thing we can see in Daksha that shows his passion? Mother Kunti, he's angry, right? He's very angry. He's violent even with his words. Yes. He's envious, right? He wants another's position. He wants the glory of somebody else. This is a very clear sign of somebody in passion. But is Daksha show some? Luke, I thought you were waiting. Is Daksha showing some nature in the mode of goodness? No. I would argue yes. Actually, he's got very nice education. He's doing these nice sacrifices. He understands that he's very pious or religious. So he's got this mode of goodness also. Oftentimes the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance are combining, right? Or to make somebody's body. So what's the downfall of the mode of goodness described as? Pride. So do we see pride in Daksha? And what's he prideful about? His great opulence, right? My father is Brahma. My daughters are so beautiful. My wife is so wonderful. I have so much wealth. And so, he's very prideful of this. But Srila Prabhupada's explaining in the purport that all of these qualities that one possesses equal nothing if they're not for the good of their Krishna consciousness. He's describing that all of these are like zeros. Everything we do is a zero until we put Krishna in the front, and those become acts for Krishna, or they become, or these things that we possess are seen in that they are Krishna's. And when that happens, there's a one put in front of it. So you can just imagine how many things you're doing each day. Tens of thousands, little micro things that we're doing. Who knows, how many? It's innumerable, right? But if we put Krishna in front of those, they all become valuable. Another example Srila Prabhupada gives is a bird in a cage. If at home we have this nice bird, it's our pet, and we give it a nice cage, and we start polishing this cage, we put diamonds on the cage. This is a real opulent bird cage. This is we want to show this off, right? It's got nice streams going off of it of different fabrics and stuff like that. And every day we come and polish this cage. And then our friend comes over and goes, "What the heck? What do you mean, what the heck? This is my beautiful bird cage." And they go, "But the bird's dead." What? Oh, the bird. Oh, I forgot to feed the bird. So this is material life. When we're just focusing on material life, we're polishing the cage. We're putting nice diamonds. We're putting nice rings on. We're putting on next clothes and stuff like that. But as this is the cage, we have to remember to take care of the soul, which is the bird. And so by putting Krishna in front and starting to become Krishna conscious and working on Krishna consciousness, then we start to take care of the bird. We start to see the happy bird, and likely the cage is nice too. Drista, would you mind turning to 4.3.23 and go to the third paragraph? I mention this often, but I really like, when things line up. Yesterday at Bhagavad Gita class, this word was mentioned that we're going to see. And when I read it in this purport, I was like, wow, awesome. Okay. Aditi, will you read the first two sentences, please?
The action of the internal potency is also described in this verse as apravita, free from any covering.
No, just four. This is 4:3:23. 4:3:23. Okay, maybe it's a different paragraph than I am saying. I'm sorry. Can you go up and let me see? It's definitely that sentence right there. Please. Thank you.
In pure devotional service, one simply serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a matter of duty, without reason and without being impeded by material conditions. That is called Suddha Sattva or Vasudev.
Ooh.
Because in that stage, the Supreme Person, Krishna, is revealed in the heart of the devotee.
So the devotee comes to Sada Sattva. Sattva is goodness, and this is pure goodness. So the devotee comes to a stage of pure goodness. And in this stage, it's called the Vasudev stage. Do you guys remember us reading about that yesterday? About the Vasudev stage? So in that stage, the devotee is seeing Krishna. And when the devotee sees Krishna, what need is there for anything else? The devotee is seeing their best friend, the most beautiful, the most attractive. And so when the devotee seeing their best friend, they have no necessity for anything except for that association with their best friend. So the devotee can have everything or they can have nothing, and they're completely satisfied because they have Krishna. Think about it. If your friend was the most wealthy, the most attractive, the most famous, the most strong, just the most wonderful, would you ever need to worry? No. I mean, I'm talking a best friend of all best friends, the best friend we could even imagine. So the devotee has no need to be envious of other people's stuff or in the fear of lacking or not having. So this is the position of Lord Shiva. He is completely transcendental. He's in the Vasudev state. And so he's always seeing Krishna, and so he has no need except for to serve. Daksha is, on the other hand, in the envious stage, in the mode of passion, in a mode of pure goodness, not pure goodness, in a mode of goodness, and material opulences has distracted him, has disturbed his mind, and that he's become proud and envious of Lord Shiva. I'll stop there. It's 8:17. Is there any questions, comments? Please. Drista.
I was thinking we kind of have two extremes here, in that Daksha is like a very envious person. Lord Shiva, he's like on the topmost level. He's fully liberated and he's 100% Krishna conscious. And I'm kind of wondering, like, I'm pretty far away from the Vasudev stage or the Shuddha Sattva stage, but I still...
Are you fully Daksha? Oh, no, just kidding.
I'm not fully Daksha, I hope. But still, like, these things come up, or I become envious of other people, or things like that. And so the solution is, be fully Krishna conscious. But it's like, I'm not fully Krishna conscious. So what do I do?
Well, within $1 million is $100,000. Right? Somebody who has $1 million never has to worry about buying a $10,000 car. It's easy for him, right? So in Bhakti Yoga, it is the sum of all total good character. So when somebody is reaching towards Bhakti Yoga, then automatically within them is a good character. So one might say, but I'm not fully in Bhakti Yoga. through the process of bhakti yoga and striving to become to this level, then automatically our character starts to improve. Krishna actually takes a hand in our life and starts to give us situations that we can improve in our character. He starts to show us some of our things that are holding us back from loving Him. It's not even Krishna seeing us as bad. It's that we're showing interest in Him to love Him, and He's saying, yes, I love you too, and I want you to even love me more. So what I'm going to do is help you understand these things that are blocking this. So He starts to arrange certain situations for us so that we can start to work on those qualities. Because when we work on those qualities, we start to see Krishna's devotees. We see everyone in a better light and treating more compassionately. And therefore, that love that grows for every spirit soul also grows with Krishna and vice versa. Is that an okay answer? Or maybe even better than okay? Or bad? Just kidding. Thank you. Anybody have anything to respond to that? Or, go.
I just had another small thought in that you asked me, are you Daksha? And I was like, of course I'm not Daksha. But I was thinking I should be more careful in that. Daksha, he's like a very high being. He's like a celestial, controller. He's one of the controllers of the universe and things like that. And so I'm kind of like an ant who's like laughing at this elephant that just like tripped. But I'm like, if he can fall, like what to think of like me?
That's a very good point. So similarly, why I was mentioning that Jaksha is showing some mode of goodness too, which is very hard for us. It's very hard for us to come to the mode of goodness, and yet Jaksha, at least to some degree, is planted in the mode of goodness. Very good point. Anybody else have any questions, comments, thoughts?
In the mode of goodness, but he also is a devotee of Lord Vishnu. He could have direct audience with Lord Vishnu. Yeah.
He had what?
He had direct audience with Lord Vishnu on a couple of occasions.
That's true, huh? Right? At his sacrifices, all three, Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and
so the
Brahma
lesson is,
were there.
Even if we are Vaishnavas or the devotees of the Lord, still if we offend another devotee, that could be the cause of the fall down.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. That's a really good point.
This isn't necessarily something that you were mentioning in class, but it's something I'm hearing another class right now about another devotee who was offended by someone else. But he actually didn't take offense. And so in this class, Radhanath Swami is giving the class, he said, a devotee actually doesn't take offense. And we see that with Lord Shiva also, is that he's not necessarily taking offense, he more so just he knows, he sees the situation for what it is. He understands the Daksha's in a difficult position. His consciousness is not very high right now, and he is making offenses, but Lord Shiva himself isn't hurt, or he's not so attached. I don't know. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that side of things too, is like being detached when, and not accusing anyone of making offenses to you.
For the most part in Krishna consciousness, we don't want to be in the position of defending ourselves. Defense is a brother of fighting or arguing. And so the devotee, being very situated, never really has to defend. Usually, the devotee, or not usually, the devotee is always waiting for Krishna to protect them. And so sometimes that will look like somebody else will say something. I have a story in mind of this happening where somebody stuck up for their husband. Does anybody remember a story in Srimad Bhagavatam? We can use any story where a devotee is being hurt in some way, shape, or form, and another devotee sticks up for them. please say it. It might be. I'm kind of blanking on the story.
I'm just trying to recall. So Devanand Pandit, he was a great reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam, and a big audience would gather to hear from him. But there was this devotee, I forgot the name, so he didn't offer proper respects to him, who was more elevated than him. So that's how he happened to offend this devotee. But later on, because of his some affinity or appreciation to the dancing of great Vakreshwar Pandit, who is one of the entourage of Lord Chaitanya, he was forgiven.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Premamrita.
I'm thinking of, it's Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, so they're God, but they're in the role of devotees. So when Jaga and Madai heard Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya stood up for him. Lord Nityananda didn't defend himself at all, or cared to.
Yeah, so as devotees situated, we're always saying Krishna will protect me, so there's not that necessarily reaction to defend, However, sometimes Krishna will give us the intelligence also about the way we should act. And so, because there can be unhealthy situations that we're in, and so Krishna might not come in the form of somebody else to protect us, but he might come in the form of intelligence in our own self to understand how to be free of that situation. There's the story of the boat, the man on the island, right? And he's the flood. He says, God, please help me. And this boat comes by and says, jump in. He says, no, I'm waiting for God to come, right? And this airplane comes, or this helicopter comes. Hey, the helicopter comes. Says, jump in. No, I'm waiting for God to save me. And the man goes to heaven. Says, God, why didn't you protect me? He says, what are you talking about? I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter, and I sent you one other thing. So similarly, when we're asking for protection from Lord, please help me, and if he comes in the form of intelligence about how to get out of the situation too, we should take that, But there's so many different ways, though, that Krishna is protecting his devotees, and that's what we're interested in. Krishna will surely protect me, that confidence. Yes, Mother Kunti, please.
Thank you very much for a wonderful class. I just want to say that. Something happens if we are hurt, and if we are not pure in the heart. The goal is to, whatever happens, it's just, see it as the modes of nature, and I deserve worse, and things like that. You see how that, it's there for my purification. At the same time, because we're not really pure yet, we're working on it, by the grace of Guru and Krishna, keeping us on the path. If we do get hurt by somebody, sometimes that pain is considerable. And it rends the heart, just like Lord Shiva was advising Sati. When a family member does that, it's worse than if your enemy attacks you with arrows. So, I find myself right now in a situation because of a godbrother's interaction with me. My heart is rending. I feel that's there. So do you have some advice for somebody who is feeling some pain like that?
I'm really appreciating this point, because Lord Shiva also knew that Sati was not on the transcendental platform, and so he was advising her not to go, because he knew that if she heard these words from her father, that she'd be so hurt, So yeah, there's a different, when we're hurt, there's infinite things we can do. But when we don't know what to do, we can take inspiration by Arjun. Arjun also didn't know his duty. So he says, I'm now confused about my duty. I've lost all composure due to miserly weakness. Now I'm asking you to tell me what to do for certain. I'm your disciple, a soul surrendered to you. Please tell me what to do. So Arjuna gives us the formula of when we don't know what to do. And that's to take shelter of the spiritual master or the spiritual guiders of our life. We start revealing our mind to them. What should I do? How can I take care of this? And them being there for your best welfare will give you better advice than you can come up with. Because they can see a little bit more of the picture of who you are and what the situation is. Like Lord Shiva, he could see a bigger situation. He could see it from a farther distance away. He wasn't so attached to these things that Sati was attached to. So he could give her good advice. Now, can we take that advice? That's our challenge. Can we humble ourselves to ask for the advice? And then second, can we be humble enough to take the advice? My mentor says if you can talk to 6 brahmanas, and that's equal to a pure devotee. So you can get counsel from 6 brahmanas, and you can be pretty clear that after that you're going to have a good idea of what to do. Not a good idea, you'll be very clear what to do. So, is that helpful, Mother Kunti?
Yes, thank you very much.
Gokulananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mother Kunti. You are much more senior than probably anyone else here in this assembly. But I can relate to this particular incident that happened in my own life when I lived in the ashram. So this devotee, unfortunately, he passed away in the air crash. So I distinctly remember it was the yatra, and then the temple services would get more rigorous whenever there would be yatras, because many residents would be gone on yatras. So we had stay-back services, and I won't get into the details, but the bottom line was I didn't have any fault whatsoever. In one particular service of offering, worship to the deities was assigned to me, and I passed it on to somebody else because of, it clashing with some of the service of mine. So anyway, so this devotee who, just walks up to me and he tells me, how could you do that? I said, well, I have, arranged for everything, and the service in charge knows, So he was nowhere connected to it. But still, that matter went on so much that he started literally abusing me, and so much so that, I don't want to say, but he became so much infuriated, and he started hurling abuses at me, so much so that he said, I will cut your throat. So I said, okay, and that really disturbed me so much. Next day, early in the morning, I was dressing the deities, I was on the altar. I grabbed hold of the deity's feet, and I started begging, what was my fault? I don't know, but please, show me the way. So that's what we can do. So I did that, and lo behold, after my service was done, I went back to my locker and was listening to the class, and there was this statement that my Guru Maharaj made in the lecture. It really struck me, and I thought it was reciprocation of the deities. So please pay attention. This statement is so important. So Radhana Swami said, Vaishnavism is going beyond being right or wrong. I repeat, Vaishnavism is going beyond being right or wrong. Even if I'm not wrong, I have to go beyond. So that struck me. Immediately I got up, I went up to that devotee, and I went flat before him. I offered my pranam, and from the bottom of my heart, I begged forgiveness. I must have done something to hurt your feeling. That's why you probably, I don't know what was your mood, but that's what you said to me. And that melted his heart. You won't believe, Prabhu. That next moment onwards, we became the best friends. Yeah. He fell at my feet. I was begging forgiveness. He was begging forgiveness from me. So 2 things came out from here. we have to, in such situation, go in front of the deities and intensely pray to show the way. And definitely deities reciprocate. And secondly, this statement always holds good. Vaishnavism is going beyond being right or wrong.
Okay, we're at 8:34. Thank you, Gokulananda. Thank you, Mother Kunti. Thank you, everybody. Yes, so today, whatever you have, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're rich, you're poor, whatever you have, put Krishna in front, and it will be worth so much. It will actually, the worth is actually uncomprehendable to us. That anything that we give to Krishna is just so, we're just so fortunate. So, go about your day and put Krishna in front and have fun. Shri Shri Radha Kaleshanji ki jai.